My vinyl record journey began when I was 10 years old. Today I'm 56. That's a lot of time to collect records. But there were periods in my life where vinyl records took a backseat to other formats. I apologize to my records every single day for that transgression. But I amassed a huge number of CDs during that time. And all those vinyl records were packed away. I stored them in boxes and put them in a dry basement on pallets. I'd be lying if I said that I gave a lot of thought to how I stored the records back in the early 90s, all the way through almost 2000. But I just knew I didn't want to get rid of them. But those CDs, the CDs I collected all through the 90s, where are they now? Well, they're scattered amongst all the used record stores in the area. And I used the credit for bringing those CDs in and selling them to those used record stores to buy more vinyl. I've lugged my records around everywhere I've lived. They've gone with me from house to house, and I've probably said it even on this channel. I've considered my records a kind of vinyl turtle shell. It's a part of me. And I think it's time to relax. So what do I mean by it's time to relax? Am I done buying records? Oh, of course not. That's crazy talk. I'm always going to be buying records. I can't walk by a record store without popping in to see what's there. I just did this past weekend in Newburyport, Mass. There's a really cool little record store there if you're ever in Newburyport. It's called Dino Records. So I walked out with the new Neil Young album and also The Faces Live at the BBC, which was released on Record Store Day, but my local record shop didn't have it on Record Store Day. So I was happy to find it at Dino Records, so thank you, Dino Records. And whenever I'm in a new city, I pull out my phone just to do a search to see if there are any record stores in the area. I don't really go with any goal in mind, just like when I stopped at Dino Records. Just curious to see what's there. Something might catch my eye. There are new artists putting out records all the time, like GA20, for example, a new artist that I thoroughly enjoy, and I put out or buy anything that they put out. Neil Young is another great example. Neil gives a whole new meaning to the word prolific. Not 6 months go by without Neil putting out something, even if it's just a re-release of his old material. And to be honest, I'm still waiting for him to put out a reissue of Sleeps with Angels. I think that was from 1994. And if you search out an original pressing of that, it's crazy money. While there will always be something new to buy, what do I mean by a time to relax? Well, I can finally, settle down with the system I built and stop obsessing over sound. That's for starters. With my record collection, I have most, but not all of the records that I wanted over the years. And for the last couple of years, I've been filling in, some of the gaps in my collection for the artists that I love. I've also, in a sense, rediscovered artists that have been around for decades even, that I just never really got into until recently. The Damned is a perfect example of this. I always enjoyed, songs like A New Rose and such when they came out back in the late 70s, but I never bought a Damned album. That sounds bad when you say it like that, bought a damned album. Anyways, I never bought one of their albums. And then I did, I loved it, and ended up buying almost their entire discography. I left out most of the 80s. So there will always be records delivered to my porch. There's no way to get around that. One of the things I do while I'm listening to music at night is I'll scroll through Discogs to see if there's anything that, that I might want to pick up. What I'm looking forward to now, that it's the holidays, is some time to just relax and listen to the records that I've bought over the years. More likely than not, I'll also be listening for records to replace. My ear kind of tells me when it's time, especially if that record is decades old. And then I'll look to replace it. What do I do with the old ones? Well, I never get rid of them. I can't get rid of them. So they're all in a cabinet that I consider the overflow cabinet in another part of the house. And if a friend comes over and they're looking and they want one of those records, they're welcome to it. When I do decide to replace an old record, that's when I go into research mode, and that can be fun, looking at some of the pressings and trying to figure out which ones I want to replace it with. I recently did this with the Led Zeppelin records in my collection. I've had those since I think I was 10 or 11 years old, and they were starting to show signs of wear. At least I was hearing that. So it was time to replace them. Do I go out and spend good money on an original pressing of one of those records, or a near mint pressing? Yeah, probably not. Do I look for Japanese pressing, or do I look at the pressings that Jimmy Page had a hand in mastering back in 2014 or 2015? So that's what I actually decided to do. I decided to check those out. So I bought one as a test to see, how it sounded. And I have to say it was really good. So that's what I ended up replacing some of my collection with. As I said at the top of this episode, I started my collection when I was 10. I don't see it ending anytime soon. Now that the holidays are here, I'm going to take this time and some of the free time I'll have on my hands to revisit some of those old records. And what about you? Tell me about your journey. You can just leave a comment below, and make sure you subscribe to the show as well. It'll help the channel and I can keep things going. As always, thank you for watching. And until next time, please take care of yourself and enjoy your records.